Don't ignore those pennies. Some 1988, 1995, 2000, and 2004 Lincoln cents with rare mint errors like double dies and wide AM varieties can sell for hundreds, even thousands. Check your pennies today. You might already have one. In 1988, the U.S. Mint produced millions of Lincoln 1-cent coins that were meant to be just like every other year's penny, small, ordinary, and unnoticed by most people. These coins were designed to keep America's currency system running smoothly, quietly circulating in pockets, cash registers, and coin jars across the country. But out of that massive production, a tiny mistake slipped through, a detail so small that most people overlooked it completely. And yet, that mistake transformed some of those 1988 pennies into treasures worth more than anyone would have imagined. Today, these error coins are among the most talked about pieces in modern numismatics, with some examples valued anywhere from $46,000 to $125,000 depending on their condition and rarity. Think about that for a moment. A coin you could have picked up as change from a store could be worth as much as a luxury car or even more. The story of the 1988 penny error is one that combines history, chance, and human error. To understand why these coins are so valuable, we have to look closely at what actually happened at the mint during that year. By the late 1980s, the Lincoln cent had already undergone several transitions. Originally struck in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it had become one of the most familiar coins in American pockets. In 1959, the reverse design was changed from the two wheat stalks to the Lincoln Memorial, and in 1982, the composition was changed from 95% copper to mostly zinc with a thin copper coating. These changes gave collectors multiple varieties to study and cherish, but they also opened the door for more errors and rare combinations to appear in 1988. One of the most famous errors to emerge is known as the transitional reverse variety. This occurs when the reverse die used to strike the penny came from a design intended for a different year. In this case, the reverse intended for the following year, 1989. While most people would never notice the difference, collectors with trained eyes can spot it. On the 1988 penny, the tiny initials of the coin's designer, Frank Gasparo, located at the base of the Lincoln Memorial, are shaped differently than they should be. The use of a 1989 reverse die on a 1988 coin created an unintended rarity that has fascinated collectors for decades. The beauty of this error is how subtle it is. You could hold a 1988 penny in your hand, glance at it, and think it looks perfectly ordinary. But under magnification, the initials FG tell a different story. To a collector, those tiny letters can mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth $46,000 to $125,000. That's the magic of error coins. They hide in plain sight, waiting for someone who knows what to look for to uncover their true value. Imagine how many of these error coins slipped into circulation unnoticed. For years, they likely changed hands in everyday transactions, used to buy candy, gum, or soda. People spent them without realizing they were holding a treasure. Some of those coins may still be sitting in jars or tucked away in old piggy banks right now. And for the lucky person who finds one, that penny could be life-changing. What makes stories like this so captivating is the element of surprise. Collectors know that rare coins don't always come from ancient times or from gold and silver. Sometimes, they come from the humblest coin of all, the penny. A coin that most people ignore, drop on the ground, or leave behind on a counter can actually be worth tens of thousands of dollars if it happens to have the right kind of error. It's a reminder that treasures aren't always where we expect them to be. The value of the 1988 penny error depends heavily on its condition. Coins that were discovered early and preserved in uncirculated condition command the highest prices. These are the coins that can reach the upper levels of $125,000 at auction. Even circulated examples, though, are worth far more than their face value. For collectors, owning one of these rare transitional reverse pennies isn't just about the money. It's about having a piece of history, a coin that tells the story of a mistake at the mint that became a modern legend. Auction houses have seen these coins generate incredible excitement whenever they appear. Collectors and investors alike compete fiercely, knowing how rare they are and how seldom they surface. Each sale reinforces the coin's place as one of the most desirable Lincoln cent errors of the modern era. The buzz surrounding these coins only adds to their mystique, encouraging more people to search their own collections in hopes of finding one. The thrill of searching is part of what makes the 1988 penny error so legendary. Every time someone empties a change jar or sorts through rolls of pennies, there's a chance, however small, that one of these rare coins might appear. And if it does, it's not just a penny anymore. It's a ticket to financial freedom, a story to tell for a lifetime, and a piece of American coinage history that very few people will ever hold. Think about the journey these coins may have taken. Struck in error at the mint, mixed in with millions of ordinary pennies, shipped out to banks and businesses, passed hand to hand in countless transactions. Maybe a child used one to buy candy in 1988, or someone tossed it into a fountain to make a wish. And then, decades later, someone picks it up, notices the tiny difference in the initials, and realizes they're holding a coin worth up to $125,000. That journey transforms an ordinary penny into an extraordinary treasure. For anyone interested in collecting coins, the 1988 penny error is a powerful reminder of why it pays to look closely. Details matter. The tiniest difference can create immense value. And in this case, a subtle variation in the initials on the coin turned a common cent into a highly coveted collectible. That's why serious collectors always examine coins carefully under magnification and weigh them when possible. You never know when a hidden rarity might reveal itself. This coin also symbolizes the human side of minting. The US Mint has some of the most advanced machinery and quality control systems in the world, but no process is perfect. Mistakes happen, and when they do, they often create the coins that collectors value most. It's those imperfections, those little slips in the process, that give us coins like the 1988 penny error, coins that capture a moment of history and become treasures for generations to come. Now imagine being the person who finds one. You're going through your spare change, not expecting much. When something catches your eye, you look closer, maybe pull out a magnifying glass, and suddenly you see it, the telltale sign of the transitional reverse. Your pulse quickens as you realize you might be holding a penny worth tens of thousands of dollars. You check the details again and again, not believing your luck. And then it hits you. This tiny coin, this 1 cent piece, could sell for anywhere between $46,000 and $125,000. That moment is what every collector dreams of, the discovery that changes everything. The 1988 penny error is a coin that keeps hope alive for collectors and treasure hunters everywhere. It proves that you don't need to dig for buried treasure or buy expensive gold coins to strike it rich. Sometimes the treasure is already in your pocket. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, just waiting to be recognized. So the next time you come across a 1988 penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. Check those tiny initials under the Lincoln Memorial. Because if you happen to find the right one, you're not just holding a penny anymore, you're holding a piece of history worth a fortune. The story of the 1995 Lincoln 1-cent penny error is one of those tales that makes coin collecting feel like a real-life treasure hunt. At first glance, the penny from 1995 looks just like every other Lincoln cent you've ever seen in your life. It's small, copper-plated zinc, with Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. You might have handled hundreds, maybe even thousands of these coins without ever stopping to think about them. But hidden among the millions minted that year are a select few with a special error that transforms this humble penny into a prize worth far more than its face value. And when I say far more, I mean jaw-dropping amounts, because these rare 1995 penny error coins have been known to sell at auctions for staggering sums ranging anywhere from $40,000 to as much as $120,000 depending on condition and rarity. So how did something as simple as a 1-cent coin become worth a small fortune? It all comes down to the kind of error that slipped past the eyes of the mint workers. One of the most famous errors associated with the 1995 penny is the double die obverse. In this case, the doubling appears most clearly in the inscriptions, especially the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." If you take a close look with a magnifying glass, the letters appear almost like they have a shadow, a second imprint that makes them stand out in an unusual way. To collectors, this doubling isn't just a minor imperfection. It's a clear marker of rarity, a sign that you're holding something far more valuable than the average penny. The reason this happened in 1995 is tied to the minting process itself. A double die occurs when the hub that imprints the design onto the die shifts slightly during the multiple strikes needed to create a finished die. This tiny misalignment causes certain parts of the design to appear doubled on every coin produced with that die. It's not something that happened often, which is why these error coins are so rare and collectible today. Out of the millions of pennies struck in 1995, only a very small fraction came out with this doubling, and that's exactly what gives them their incredible value. Now, what makes the story even more interesting is that the 1995 double die penny became one of the most talked about modern error coins. Collectors across the country began scouring their pocket change, hoping to stumble across one. Newspapers even covered it at the time, which is pretty rare for something as seemingly ordinary as a penny. This created a kind of frenzy, and while many people found minor varieties or machine doubling that didn't carry much value, a few lucky individuals discovered the real thing, the true double die error. Those people, whether they held onto their coins or later sold them, were suddenly in possession of a small piece of numismatic history. But here's where things get exciting for us today. More than 2 decades later, these coins still surface from time to time, tucked away in old jars, wallets, or inherited collections. And when they're found in pristine, uncirculated condition, the value skyrockets. That's when we start seeing auction prices jump into the tens of thousands, even crossing the $100,000 threshold. Imagine pulling a penny out of your change and realizing it could be worth between $40,000 and $120,000. That's the kind of discovery that changes the way you look at every coin in your hand. Collectors love these error pennies not just for their value, but also for their story. They represent the idea that even in an age of modern minting technology, mistakes can and do happen. The 1995 double die penny is living proof that perfection isn't always achieved, and sometimes those imperfections are what make something truly extraordinary. These coins are like hidden time capsules, carrying with them the quirks of the year they were made and the fascinating story of how errors slip into circulation. What makes the 1995 penny error even more compelling is the way it shows up. Unlike some errors that are so tiny you need special equipment to spot them, the doubling on this coin is visible to the naked eye if you look closely. It means that anyone, from a casual coin enthusiast to someone who's never thought about coin collecting in their life, has a real chance of recognizing one if they happen to come across it. That accessibility adds to the thrill. This isn't a treasure that's locked away in museums or impossible to identify. It's out there, waiting to be found by someone paying just a little more attention than the rest. Think about the thrill of discovery. You're sorting through some old coins, maybe rolling up pennies to take to the bank, and suddenly you notice something odd about the word liberty. The letters don't look quite right. You take a closer look and realize you've found doubling. That's the moment your heart starts racing, because you know you might just be holding one of those rare pennies worth tens of thousands. For some lucky individuals, that exact scenario has happened, and their stories have inspired countless others to keep hunting. And beyond just collectors and hobbyists, even investors have taken an interest in the 1995 penny error. Because as time passes, fewer of these coins remain in top condition. Many have been lost to circulation, worn down by decades of use, or simply overlooked. That scarcity makes the ones that do exist even more desirable, pushing their values higher. For investors, it's not just about owning a coin. It's about owning a tangible piece of history that appreciates over time. Of course, not every 1995 penny with a bit of wear or minor irregularity is going to be worth a fortune. That's why authentication and grading are so important. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC can verify whether a penny truly carries the double die error and assign it a grade that reflects its condition. Higher grades mean sharper details and fewer signs of wear, and that translates directly into higher auction prices. It's those pristine examples, the ones that look almost as if they just left the mint yesterday, that can command values reaching all the way up to that $120,000 mark. There's something poetic about all of this too. The penny, the lowest denomination of US currency, often dismissed and even left on sidewalks, ends up being the coin that can secretly hold immense value. It's a reminder not to underestimate the small things in life, because sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest surprises. The 1995 penny error embodies that perfectly. So the next time you come across a 1995 penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look at those inscriptions, study the date, and pay attention to the details. You might be looking at an ordinary coin, or you might be staring down at a hidden treasure worth between $40,000 and $120,000. And the only way to know is to take the time to look. That's what makes this story so engaging. It's not just about collectors bidding on coins at fancy auctions. It's about the thrill of possibility that's out there for anyone who's willing to pay attention. It's about how a simple mistake during the minting process can ripple through history, creating treasures that continue to surprise us decades later. The 1995 Lincoln penny error stands as one of the most iconic modern error coins, and its story continues to capture imaginations today. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone curious about the coins jingling in your pocket, it serves as a powerful reminder. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story can change everything. In the year 2000, the United States Mint produced millions of 1-cent pennies featuring the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. At first glance, they were just another continuation of a design that had already been in circulation for decades, a coin so common that most people never gave it a second thought. But for collectors, the story of the 2000 penny took a very different turn, because within that massive production run, mistakes were made. Tiny errors, slips in the minting process, flaws that transformed ordinary pennies into extraordinary treasures. And some of these error pennies are so rare and so sought after that they have been known to sell at auction for prices between $38,000 and $116,000. Imagine that, a single coin that you could find in your pocket change worth more than some people make in a year. That's the magic of error coins, and the 2000 Lincoln cent is one of the most fascinating examples. To appreciate why the 2000 penny error is so significant, it helps to understand the design and history behind it. The Lincoln Memorial reverse had been in use since 1959, replacing the wheat ears design that collectors still cherish today. By 2000, this reverse was nearing the end of its run, as it would be replaced in 2009 with a new series of designs marking Lincoln's bicentennial. Millions of these pennies flowed out of the Philadelphia and Denver mints, entering circulation without fanfare. But even with modern technology, the mint couldn't stop human error, mechanical stress, and the occasional slip that would lead to mistruck coins. Those accidents would go unnoticed by most people, but sharp-eyed collectors spotted them, and the hunt began. One of the most famous errors associated with the 2000 penny is the double die error. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during production, creating the appearance of doubling in certain details. On some 2000 pennies, doubling can be seen in the inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date itself. These double dies are immediately distinguishable from normal coins under magnification, and they are worth far more than face value. The stronger the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes. A clear and dramatic double die penny from 2000 preserved in excellent condition has the potential to command prices near the top of that staggering $38,000 to $116,000 range. Another type of error that collectors love to see in the 2000 penny is the off-center strike. Normally, the coin blank is perfectly centered between the obverse and reverse dies, but sometimes it slips out of place. When that happens, the resulting coin might show only part of Lincoln's portrait, with the rest of the design pushed toward the edge, leaving a blank crescent where no detail appears. Off-center strikes can range from slight to dramatic, and the more dramatic the error, especially if the date remains visible, the higher the value. It's not uncommon for off-center pennies from 2000 in mint condition to sell for tens of thousands of dollars. Wrong planchet errors also appear in the 2000 penny series, and these are some of the most exciting finds. A planchet is the blank piece of metal on which a coin is struck, and occasionally the wrong type of planchet slips into the press. Imagine a penny struck on a dime planchet, or even a foreign coin planchet that happened to be in the mint system. These unusual coins look dramatically different from a normal penny, whether by color, weight, or size, and collectors will pay a fortune for them. With so few known examples, their rarity drives the price sky high, often into that remarkable $50,000 to $100,000 zone. Die breaks and cuds are another form of error seen in the 2000 pennies. Over time, the dies used to strike coins wear down and develop cracks. These cracks leave raised lines across the coin, or in more extreme cases, they break away entirely, creating blobs of metal known as cuds. On the 2000 penny, dramatic die breaks or cuds covering part of Lincoln's portrait or sections of the Lincoln Memorial can make the coin incredibly desirable. While not always as valuable as a major double die or wrong planchet, certain extreme examples have brought tens of thousands of dollars when collectors compete for them at auction. It's also worth noting that the year 2000 was one of transition at the US Mint, as technology was modernizing and coin production was increasing to meet demand. This environment created opportunities for unusual mistakes to slip through the system. Collectors love coins from these transitional times because they often carry hidden stories of change, experimentation, and error. The 2000 penny embodies that perfectly. What makes these coins so special isn't just the error itself, but also the condition in which they are found. Condition is everything in numismatics. A 2000 penny error that has circulated heavily, with scratches and wear, may still be valuable, but it won't reach the heights of a pristine, mint-state coin. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate these coins, assigning them grades that determine much of their market value. A top-grade 2000 penny error with dramatic doubling or an off-center strike could easily reach the top end of that $38,000 to $116,000 valuation. The story of these coins is also about discovery. Many of the error 2000 pennies that have surfaced weren't found in old collections or hidden vaults. They were pulled from circulation by sharp-eyed people who took the time to study their change. Imagine someone at a gas station in 2000 getting a handful of pennies back, tossing them in a jar, and years later realizing that one of those coins was a minting error worth tens of thousands. That's the kind of life-changing discovery that fuels the passion of collectors and keeps people searching their pockets every day. Auction records tell some of the best stories. Over the years, error pennies from 2000 have crossed the block and shocked audiences with their prices. A coin that started its life as 1 cent suddenly transformed into a treasure commanding tens of thousands of dollars under the bright lights of the auction house. These sales reinforce the message that rare coins are still out there, hiding in plain sight. And they show that even modern coins can carry incredible value if they feature the right mistakes. The thrill of the hunt is what keeps collectors excited. Every time someone checks a penny under a magnifying glass, they're chasing that dream. Every time a roll of pennies is searched, there's the possibility of finding a double die, an off-center strike, or a rare wrong planchet. And the 2000 penny, with its history and potential for high-value errors, is one of the best coins to look out for. For those who might be new to the world of coin collecting, the lesson is simple. Never underestimate the penny. Never assume that just because a coin is modern, it has no value. The 2000 Lincoln cent errors prove the opposite. They show that even the most ordinary coins can hide extraordinary secrets. And they remind us that the minting process, no matter how advanced, is still vulnerable to human error and mechanical imperfection. Those imperfections are what collectors live for. Think about this. Right now, somewhere in America, a 2000 penny error could be sitting unnoticed in a drawer, a jar, or even rolling around in someone's car. To them, it's worth 1 cent. To a collector, it could be worth $116,000. That gap between perception and reality is what makes these coins so thrilling. The knowledge to recognize them is like holding a treasure map, and only those who take the time to learn can unlock the fortune hiding in plain sight. So the next time you come across a penny, don't just glance at it and toss it aside. Look closely. Tilt it under the light, examine the lettering, check the alignment of the strike, and pay attention to anything unusual. Because hidden among the billions of ordinary pennies minted in the year 2000 are a few extraordinary ones. And if you're lucky enough to find one, you're not just holding a piece of pocket change. You're holding a coin worth as much as a luxury car, a college education, or a down payment on a home. That is the incredible story of the 2000 penny errors. A story of how a tiny mistake at the mint can turn into a life-changing treasure for those who take the time to look. A reminder that even in the most ordinary places, extraordinary things can be found. And a challenge to you: check your change, because the next great discovery could be waiting right in your hands. The story of the 2004 US Lincoln 1 cent penny with rare mint errors is one that shows just how extraordinary everyday objects can be when history, chance, and collector demand collide. At its surface, it looks like just another small coin, the same copper-plated zinc piece that has been used in millions of transactions. Most people have handled thousands of 2004 pennies without giving them a second thought. But hidden among those countless ordinary cents are error coins so rare that they have stunned even seasoned collectors. These mistakes, preserved through luck and careful eyes, have turned a 1-cent coin into a treasure worth between $34,000 and $106,000, depending on the error type, grade, and condition. The Lincoln penny has long been a symbol of American history, carrying the portrait of Abraham Lincoln since 1909. By 2004, the design was deeply ingrained in American culture, instantly recognizable to children, adults, and collectors alike. What makes the 2004 issue fascinating is that it came at a time when the mint was producing coins with high-speed technology, striking billions of cents each year. With such massive numbers, the chances of mistakes increased. For most years, these errors are minor and go unnoticed, but in 2004, several dramatic mint errors slipped into circulation, creating one of the most desirable modern-era penny errors. What kind of errors can turn a 1-cent coin into a 5- or 6-figure collectible? In 2004, error types included double dies, off-center strikes, and wrong planchet errors. A double die error can make the date or inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust appear doubled, a dramatic visual difference that makes the coin instantly stand out. Off-center strikes can show part of the design cut off, with part of the blank planchet still visible. Wrong planchet errors are among the most exciting. This is when a penny was struck on the metal blank meant for another denomination, such as a dime or a foreign coin. Each of these mistakes created a unique coin, a small fragment of minting history that collectors are willing to pay tens of thousands to own. The incredible thing about these 2004 error pennies is how they could have circulated unnoticed. For years, someone may have carried one in their pocket, handed it over at a gas station, or left it in a jar at home, never realizing its hidden value. That's part of the thrill of coin collecting. It's a treasure hunt where the prize might already be sitting in your house. These error pennies went from being everyday change to being highly coveted, with auction houses later recording sales between $34,000 and $106,000. The wide price range depends on the specific error and the coin's grade, but even at the lower end, it is a staggering leap in value from a mere 1-cent collector's love stories, and the story of the 2004 penny is one of timing and rarity. The early 2000s were not particularly known for major coin changes like the 1980s, when the composition of the penny shifted from mostly copper to zinc. But even in a time of stability, mistakes can still happen. That's why the 2004 errors are so intriguing. They weren't expected, and when they surfaced, they caught the attention of the numismatic world. A double die on a modern coin, or an off-center strike that survived quality checks, is a dramatic reminder that even advanced minting processes are not perfect. These imperfections, rather than being flaws, are what make the coin extraordinary. One reason these coins command such high values is the law of supply and demand. Billions of 2004 pennies exist, but only a tiny handful have the kinds of dramatic errors that collectors crave. When only a few coins are known to exist, and hundreds or thousands of collectors want them, prices skyrocket. This is exactly what has happened with the 2004 error penny. Some of the most striking examples, authenticated and graded by trusted services like PCGS or NGC, have stunned auction houses by reaching values as high as $106,000. Others in lesser condition but still with strong errors have sold for tens of thousands, often in the $34,000 range. These sales prove that demand for error coins is not just a niche interest. It is a powerful force in the coin market. Think for a moment about the journey of one of these coins. It leaves the mint in 2004, struck imperfectly, already unique the moment it's made. Perhaps it went unnoticed, carried in circulation like any other penny. Maybe it was dropped in a vending machine, taped to a child's school project, or tossed into a drawer. For years, its true nature might have been ignored. Then, one day, a collector or sharp-eyed individual noticed the doubling in the lettering, or the off-center strike that set it apart. They took it for evaluation, had it authenticated, and suddenly a 1-cent coin became a 5- or 6-figure treasure. That moment of discovery is why coin collecting is so addictive. It combines history, luck, and reward in a way few hobbies can match. There is also something powerful about the connection to Abraham Lincoln. Every Lincoln penny serves as a reminder of one of America's most important leaders, but error coins carry an even deeper sense of uniqueness. It's as though the coin itself tells two stories. One of the legacy of Lincoln and another of the moment at the mint when something went wrong and perfection was broken. That combination makes the 2004 era penny not just valuable in terms of money, but meaningful in terms of symbolism. Auction stories about these coins often highlight the drama of the bidding process. A coin that started as a humble penny can spark fierce competition among collectors determined to add it to their collection. Some bidders see it as an investment, knowing the rarity will only increase in value over time. Others see it as a personal passion, a must-have piece that completes their set of Lincoln penny errors. Either way, the excitement of these auctions shows just how much energy surrounds these rare finds. The gasps in the room when the final hammer falls at $106,000 are a reminder of how extraordinary this coin truly is. For anyone interested in coin collecting, the lesson of the 2004 penny is clear. Pay attention to the small details. Study the lettering, the strike, the alignment. Even modern coins can hold surprises that change their value from 1 cent to tens of thousands of dollars. Every coin in your pocket could be a mystery waiting to be solved. And with coins like the 2004 penny proving that even the most ordinary years can produce extraordinary errors, the hunt is always worth it. So while most people glance past pennies today, seeing them as too small to matter, collectors know better. They know that in 2004, a few extraordinary mistakes slipped past quality checks and made their way into circulation. They know that those mistakes transformed into treasures worth between $34,000 and $106,000. And they know that stories like this remind us all to look a little closer at the change we handle every day, because history, rarity, and fortune might just be hiding in the palm of your hand.